Jesus. Bam. What up, Yang Gang? We're live tonight with a special guest, Yenni Desroches.
Desroches.
God dang it. Okay, that was a bad one on my part. I'm usually pretty good with names.
It's absolutely fine. It's French.
Yeah. Oh, I was thinking Spanish. I was like, because I'm a Zach De La Rocha fan.
Yeah, no, it's my husband's French Canadian.
Okay.
And then Yenni is a nickname for Jennifer.
I get it. Jennifer.
I confuse everybody.
That'll work. My name's Boyce. What the hell do I know? And that's my actual name. But yeah, so you guys, in case you guys don't know, Yenni is old school Yang Gang, big time volunteer for the campaign, did lots of stuff in the background, made shit happen.
Yeah, I was one of the regional organizers for New England during the campaign from November until when he dropped out. I was there that night. That was rough.
February 11th.
Yeah. I was in the room. That was rough.
In the room when it happened? Kind of like a Hamilton moment?
Yeah. Funny enough, my shot and room where it happened was exactly why I wanted to go into politics. It was like that click moment for me when it first came out.
Yeah, so like, so Andrew drops out, and you're like the rest of us. What the hell do we do now? It's kind of like when Forrest Gump stopped running. Like, what do we do now? I was thinking about making a funny meme of that, of like Andrew's face, like it's Spider-Man to put Andrew's face on Forrest Gump. Then have the crowd with math hats on.
We went from the announcement location where they had an open bar, which was, I'm not sure if it was a good idea or a bad idea.
It's a good start.
It was like really inexpensive. I don't think it was like completely open. I think it was just really inexpensive.
Yeah.
And then we all went to margaritas.
Oof.
And there was like 30 of us in the room. And we were all at this like long table and then like a bunch of booths in the back of the room. And we're talking to each other and like, all right, what now? Well, we're starting an organization to continue the movement. And HFM was born that night.
Yeah.
Humanity First Movement. So.
Yeah, and now you go from that to now you said, okay, I'm going to throw my hat in the ring at city council because you live in the second largest city in Massachusetts.
Yep.
So city council to most people from small towns like myself isn't really a lot of responsibility or decisions to be made on a grand scale. But what do city council members do for your district? Like, how is that set up? Because you have the 5th district. How many districts are there in your city councils? Like,
yeah, so we've got 5 districts.
Okay.
Each district has 2 wards, and each ward has 5 precincts.
Damn.
And the wards and precincts matter for like state, federal side of things. And then our city decided to group 2 wards together to make a district.
Okay.
And then the seats that we have, we've got the 5 district seats, we've got 5 at-large seats, and then we've got the mayor, who is also an at-large councillor. He or she has to win the at-large race and also win mayor. It's a very odd system, but
yeah. So what do you mean by at-large?
Worcester weird basically.
Let's flesh that out. What does it mean to be at-large in Massachusetts?
So at-large covers the whole city.
Okay, gotcha. Yep. So you gotta be like top 5.
They're floaters.
So there's 5 that doesn't represent one district per se. Then there's 5 that do.
Correct.
Gotcha. Okay, and then the mayor is like the vice president, the swing vote type of thing. Okay, gotcha. That makes me understand it a whole lot more.
Yeah, and then we've got a strong city manager situation here in Worcester. So the difference between a weak mayor and a strong mayor system. The strong mayor systems, the mayor actually has like power and controls a lot of the day-to-day work that the city does. In a weak mayor system, the city manager is an appointed position that handles all of the day-to-day, the department management and all of that. So that it leaves the city council and mayor positions as a part-time role for people rather than it being a full-time position.
Gotcha.
Personally, I think we need to go back to being a strong mayor system, but.
Right. Well, that's something that you can fix from within, right?
Yeah.
Be a part of the system. So what's the straw that broke the camel's back for you that said, F it, I'll do it? Like what was that moment like for you?
So I'd been toying around with it for a while. I had spoken to our state senator, Harriet Chandler, about it at a chamber event in 2018. And I was at that point figuring out, all right, I'm going to go for the Parks, Recs, and Cemetery Commission, and then I'm going to go for school committee, and then I'm going to go for city council. Once after I have kids, I'll go for school committee, and then after that, I'll go for city council at some. Mm-hmm. And I asked her about that plan, and she's like, if your goal is to go for city council, just go for it. You don't need to ask permission. You don't need to pay your dues. Those days are gone. Mm-hmm. So she gave me that permission that I was needing to just kind of go for it without really knowing everything. And then November 2018, I met Yang for the first time, and was like, all right, this is a campaign that I want to be on because he's talking about automation and I've been talking about it for 10 years. And he's talking about UBI and I've been talking about it for almost as long. So I'm like, yes. So I got involved with the campaign a little bit, didn't really fully get invested until after my surgery in September, which was also the incident that made me go, all right, I need to run now. I had what was supposed to be routine surgery at the end of September in 2019. And I almost didn't make it out of the operating room. Jesus. I almost bled out on the table and then developed a clot that night. Had to go back in, almost bled out on the table again. So the recovery from that put me on my couch. And I told Catherine, one of the other regional organizers for New England, to put me to work. And she did.
So I have a medical question for you. Did they use a green filter for your clot?
No, I have a stent.
Okay.
Yeah, the vessel, my iliac artery, iliac. Yeah, it developed a tear. Oh. So I was bleeding out internally, and they had to cut me open, and then they had to cut me again to go in there the next day to try and fix the clot. Then they pulled the clot. Everything was fine. They pulled the balloon and it just collapsed on itself again. So they had to put in a stent.
Man, that's scary because you can bleed out. B, you can still get like septic and die of septic shock.
Yeah, I spent 4 days with my BP so high that I was going in and out of consciousness until they could get my blood count levels back up to a point where my blood pressure could stabilize. I ended up needing 5 bags.
Wow. So after all that, you wind up plopped on your couch rehabbing. And I do physical therapy, so I know it's a long process.
Yeah.
Especially abdominal incisions and trunk and your core muscles got to be.
Yeah, it was belly button to groin.
Like
an emergency, so it wasn't a clean cut. I'm like, hook it down there now. It's very awkward.
Get it. But
scars are strange.
Oh boy, I've seen some gnarly stuff, especially car accidents. There's no rhyme or reason for those.
So between that and the fact that I've got Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which is a connective tissue disorder that you may have encountered, I'm not sure, as a
like your FAFSA?
It's EDS. So I've got a hypermobility thing. I can do all sorts of cool party tricks.
Yeah, it's loosey goosey everywhere. See, that'll break my arm. That's nope.
Yeah. I can.
That's it. Nope. I'm not flexible.
I'm not supposed to do those. I dislocate my shoulder regularly.
Oh.
So I'm in PT. I've been in PT for the last 4.5 or so years. I think we've talked about that before. But yeah, it's between the two of those things, I can't really go out there and canvas. So I wasn't driving up to New Hampshire. I was doing everything from my couch. And at that point, I was like, all right, I'm going to learn as much as I can to apply it to when I run. And at that point, I wasn't sure whether or not I was going to run at large or if I was going to run in district. And looking at the things that my district counselor was saying and doing, there was a lack of presence when COVID hit. And we have a consortium of organizations that came together called Worcester Together. And they did and are doing amazing things, handling COVID relief efforts, outreach to communities. It's we've got the United Way involved, the health department, the hospitals, the immigrant communities. Like it spans the breadth and width of the city and everyone in it. Mm-hmm. And all of the other city councilors that I found were posting something about it, saying, hey, donate to this. We need your help. He didn't post anything except for, hi, I had a kid. I'm like, you can't send an email to your email list saying, hey, Worcester Together is happening. It doesn't take very long to write an email. So between that and then comments that he made after George Floyd died, I decided to run in district. I felt that it was a place that I would be able to make the most difference. I also know a lot more about my district than I do about the city at large. I don't know the ins and outs of some parts of the city. I know part of District 2. I know a little bit of District 3, some in District 4, and mine's 5. I don't really know all that much about District 1.
That's a big city.
Because I have been here for 8 years. Yeah, 8 years. We bought our house in 2014. No, 2013. Became landlords at the same time because it's a 3-family. So I started learning about the city really quickly. My husband's from here. My mother-in-law's a visiting nurse. So I learned a lot about the city really quickly, to the point that I actually know more about the city than my husband does.
So what does that job? And so you win the seat, you're a city council member. Like, what is their role? What is their job? What do they do? Because a big city council is much different than a small town one.
Yeah. So we handle tax rates. We handle major projects that are coming into town. So the AAA team for the Red Sox is now moving from Rhode Island, called the Paw Sox, to Worcester to be called the Woo Sox, because for some reason Worcester decided that the Woo was going to be our nickname.
Okay.
And all I can think of when I hear that is Woo Girls from How I Met Your Mother.
I think of Wu-Tang, baby. Wu-Tang. I'm a Wu-Tang fan. Well, people are saying that in the chat there's a drug and homelessness problem. Oh, that's it in Lowell, but Worcester has a large drug problem. So
yes.
And you have free health care in Massachusetts?
We have Mass Health. Mass Health was started by Romney. It was called Romney Care at the time.
Right.
We like our Republican governors for some reason, but they're not. They're Republicans. The Massachusetts Republicans are a whole other ballgame from other Republicans.
Yeah, they're rhinos, cases. Man. Yeah, they're East Coast. They got to be a rhino.
So that the system that he built became Obamacare.
Right. Yeah, it's his.
So there's a lot that it does right, and there's a lot that it leaves to be desired. I have helped people try and navigate that system, and it is a nightmare. I have had to drive people out to about an hour outside of Worcester to be able to get to one of the places that they have their offices, because they don't have one in Worcester.
I see.
The second largest city in New England, the second largest city in the state, you'd think we'd have a place for people to go here.
Just one, right? Just one.
You'd think,
maybe
but
two. No. How many's in Boston?
There's one in Boston, one in, I think it's Arlington. Might be Lowell. I know it's up in that area, and then there's one, I think, in Western Mass somewhere. Yeah. I don't quite remember. It was about 2 years ago that I did the driving to it, but It's decent. It's not bad. It's definitely better than having nothing. But,
absolutely, yeah.
The drugs problem here is getting worse with the pandemic.
Yeah,
it's like getting worse everywhere.
Yes, like
we are having also a gang war.
Awesome.
Yeah. So there's been a lot of shootings. There's been a lot of bleed over into neighborhoods that don't usually see gun violence. The dog park that's walking distance from my house had a shooting at it the other day. Now it's not unheard of for there to be gun related incidents in that park. But it was still weird because it had never happened while I lived here.
Yeah.
It's something that the people in my neighborhood, I go to the neighborhood watch meetings, and they are very afraid of the creep of the gangs and the violence and the break-ins and things like that. And I'm just like, we're in the second largest city in New England. I'm surprised that this isn't a thing all over the city already anyway. Because I'm from just north of New York City. So it's like, it doesn't really faze me all that much. It's something that we need to deal with, and we need to improve people's lives to the point where crime is not their only resort.
Yeah.
But at the same time, gangs provide community for people. Like, there is a need that is filled by them.
And resources. So with universal basic income, crime truly doesn't pay. If you're in jail, you don't get it. So it's a little incentive.
Yeah.
That's the idea, at least.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily go to like not get it. I'd maybe put it at half, or like, I don't know.
Well, because that goes, they take that resource, it goes to the funding of the prison.
Oh, true. That would make sense.
For your basic needs are being met. You know, you want to de-incentivize prison. We need to stop putting people in prison for silly bullshit too.
Yeah, and I mean, like, we still have issues with. They just hit a massive like marijuana drug bust, and
really?
Yeah, like, we're legal here, and they still have not fixed the problem of the disparity in terms of people who are marginalized communities that have previously been like focused on for going after drug crimes.
Targeted.
Yeah, targeted is the word I was looking for. They also haven't gotten rid of the convictions for people that violated that before it became legal, which is something that I also think needs to change. But Massachusetts is making steps. It's just not going fast enough. And I attribute a lot of that to our state legislature. Right now, there's a pledge being put together and an initiative to change the way that our committees at the State House work. Because right now, they do not have to publish roll call votes for most things.
Really?
Yeah. They don't have to put like, that's not public information.
What you hiding, you know?
Yeah. It's weird because, like, we're a super majority Democrat.
Right.
Like, it's not like we couldn't make the change if we wanted to make the change.
Exactly.
And the funniest part about it is the Republicans are behind us changing it. Mass landlords and progressive Massachusetts are both behind this change. Like, people from all sides, except for the establishment party Democrats. And I tie a lot of that back to Gus Bickford and the rest of the people who are in the leadership of the Democratic Party here in Massachusetts. I don't know how many of folks who are listening were seeing everything that happened with Alex Morse during the general election or the primaries last year. But Gus and other people that were in leadership were partially responsible for the hit piece that came out claiming that Morse was a was not welcome at a college's events because he was making people uncomfortable from a sexual impropriety side of things.
Oh.
It ended up turning out to be a complete plant piece by someone who had been an intern for Rep. Neal and wanted to work for Rep. Neal. That was coordinated and timed with the awareness of the state party.
A strategic smear, huh?
And Gus Bickford still got reelected to his seat as chair, even though that announcement and all of that information came out before the vote.
So is the person you're running against, is it an incumbent or is it an empty seat?
No. So Wally decided that he was going to run at large. So it's an open seat. One of my opponents is Atel Hasiaj. She ran at large last cycle in 2019, didn't make it onto the council. I actually voted for her last cycle. So the fact that I'm running against a fellow woman who would be fantastic in the seat as well, it's going to come down to a lot of really interesting differences that are smaller in terms of a lot of it's going to be outreach and getting people to know who I am. But then we've also got another person who's entered the race, Wayne Griffin. He was on the city council in 91 to 97. He's 70 years old and was involved with the Blue Lives Matter rally here in Worcester. So he is the opposite end of things, but is a Democrat, I think.
The line is getting blurry, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really weird because I feel like we're having what happened with the Tea Party to the Republicans, because the Republicans had that split and then things came back together. And I feel like right now we're having that like progressive liberal versus establishment split.
Yes, I agree.
And it's not recoalescing. It's going to be interesting to see what comes out of all of this over the course of the next few campaign cycles, because it's going to be weird.
And didn't Massachusetts just fail to get ranked choice voting in too?
It did.
That's too bad.
And unfortunately, there was two different things that contributed to that. It was on the back of the ballot, and it was the only thing on the back of the ballot. So people who were not necessarily aware to turn over the ballot to check off the box weren't able to vote for it. And then there was also a misinformation campaign that went out saying that it's going to be confusing and you're not going to be able to do this. And
I did see that.
They didn't even really spend all that much on it, but it caught on like wildfire. All the newspapers picked it up in terms of saying like, oh, there's opposition now. They gave them press and it scared people.
Well, Bayer for president here says university and colleges are a huge part of the economy there. And he says, need to get students back in school safely.
So our colleges some of them are operating partially in school.
Okay.
Most of the stuff is happening online, but they do have students on campus, things like that. But the colleges, I think, are a little bit more wary to reopen in terms of putting their students in the building together, because a lot of the buildings in Worcester, especially for the older colleges, don't have the right ventilation systems. They're still better off than our elementary and middle schools and high schools here, but they still need to do infrastructure upgrades and things like that. So that slows things down.
Is that something the city council be part of?
For the colleges, no. But for the schools,
isn't it like a zoning thing? We got a zone or what's it called? Like not zoning, but
it would be the enforcement for like
regulation stuff.
Yeah, it's all the like the electrical folks and the people who give you the permits.
Now, does the city council in Massachusetts in Worcester, what the hell? Worcester, that's right. I kept saying Worcester.
But it sounds like there's an H when you say it, but there's no H in it when you write it.
Worcester.
Yeah. So it's W, like W-U-H, W.
Oh, okay.
And then stir, like you're stirring a pot.
That's it, Worcester. Okay, gotcha. So does the city council and the mayor have a direct relationship with the police department?
Yes. So their budgets come through us.
See, I think
the city council controls the budget for the whole city.
I think that's a significant role. That's a really something you could probably. Are you campaigning on that type of reforms or what?
No. I feel like there's a middle ground we need to play because, especially while we're going through a gang war, we need the resources.
Oh, yeah.
We need the people out there making sure that kids don't get shot accidentally and things like that. Like, there is a significant public safety aspect that we do need to keep around and address. The city is finally recognizing, or starting to put a toe in the water of recognizing that there's a racism issue in Worcester. The police sergeant says there isn't, but the city manager just said that there is. So it's kind of moving in the right direction there, I think. I think anyone saying that there's not racism in something is blind, I guess. It's got their head in the sand because everything has inherent biases. It does not matter who you are, where you are, what you're talking about. You have an inherent bias because you were raised in a certain way. You grew up in a certain place. You have different experiences from people. No matter what you do in life, you are going to have inherent biases. And we need to recognize that and learn to respect and get informed by the people that are having the problems, who are being misrepresented. And the issue, though, falls on the fact that the city has continued to try and expand the police's budget this year. So they implemented a camera program, which I personally am against. I think it's an unnecessary expense that is not proven to actually affect any change. They're planned for
body cams.
Yeah.
Well, I like the idea of a body cam. Then there's just no bullshit.
It's not. It has been proven that it doesn't actually affect change in behavior, but it does make it possible for people to get caught, I guess. But at the same time, the way city's planning on using it is that if a lawyer puts in a request, the footage is reviewed. Otherwise, after like a couple of months, it gets deleted.
Oh, see, no. Now you're just wasting.
And I'm just like, this doesn't make any sense. Yeah, one, statute of limitations, you need to keep things for that amount of time, which is going to massively increase the cost of storage for all of this data.
Yeah.
It's not going to be an inexpensive program, and I think that it's not worth the amount that they're putting into it. The other thing that they're doing right now, we've got a program called ShotSpotter Flex, which is a gunshot detection program. It's placed in different places around the city, and when there's a gunshot, it sends in an automatic report.
Yeah, like a triangle.
That has not actually resulted in a significant increase in handling gun-related incidents.
Well, yeah, because just
most of it is still called in by the public.
Yeah, and even if you know the area, you don't know who. So who gives a shit?
Yeah,
it happened in this block. You know,
it does help them kind of like find people because they know exactly where it was. They can find shell casings, things like that. But it's not this magical program that the people who are not looking deep into the program itself.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, yay, it's a tool that helps find gunshots. Yes, fantastic. Great. It sounds great on paper, but
it might help.
It doesn't actually do much.
Yeah, it might help with response times. That's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so they're expanding that program, which I'm not against because it's a tool that is useful. Even if it is not helping massively, it's not a problematic program. It's just not as helpful as people think it is.
Yeah, especially during the game wars going on. You know, it's going to come in handy.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, too much.
Yeah. And then the other thing that they want to do with it, though, is the ShotSpotter company is introducing a new tool ShotSpotter Connect, which is an AI-driven predictive policing program.
Predictive.
Yes.
Predictive usually means biased. Go ahead.
They say it's not biased because it doesn't include biased data. I'm like, that doesn't exist. I used to work in video game development. I know how to program. That's not how technology works. There's always biases because it's programmed by a human.
Yeah,
and the data collection has biases because it's collected by humans. So by saying a program's not biased, that just makes it sound to me like you don't understand what a bias is.
Or you're bullshit.
But at the same time, it's like this program is a pilot program that's only in 7-something cities. Cities have left the pilot program because it caused an increase in crime. And they're giving us a limited time offer discount.
Like QVC?
I'm just like, why would we need to get a discount on a program that's limited time, that's pressuring us into using this program, or we're not even evaluating other tools that are like it on the market? We're just taking their sales pitch as it is and running with it? Because that's all the city has taken. The presentations they've given are literally just pitches by the company. That's all they've given information-wise.
But wait, there's more.
Yeah.
If you act now, we'll throw in 9mm casings.
No. There is. Because the expansion they want to do to the Flex program, they're going to throw it in.
See, yeah. No.
It's just like, technology is not meant to be used in this way untested. Like,
if it's valuable, it shouldn't be given away either.
Exactly. Like, we shouldn't be getting a discount for limited time offer to get additional stuff to be part of a pilot program that other cities have left. That just means we need to evaluate this and not do it in an emergency standpoint out of a contingency fund during a pandemic.
Way too many ifs, ands, or buts.
It's just they just had another meeting on this on Monday where the team presented it again, and they got asked all of these questions by people who understand technology, which a lot of people on our city council don't. They asked if things could get delivered in JPEG instead of PDF, and put it as J_PEG. There have also been situations on our city council where they've called cell signal Wi-Fi. I just like, we need somebody who understands technology on the city council.
Need a crash course, man. Wow. Well, what's the I got an interesting question. I'm sure you probably not know the. What's the average age of the council right now? Like, what's the demographic? Is this?
We have one. We've got 2 Black men, 1 Hispanic woman. Everyone else is white.
And I'm more concerned about age.
The age is high. I think our youngest right now is high 30s, low 40s.
Okay.
I'm 33. There are other people running that I think are a few years younger than me, but I'm not sure. And we've got a really diverse set of candidates this year that is absolutely amazing.
That's good though. At least you have good competition. Like, it's not some turd.
Yeah.
Actually, someone you're okay with running against. Be like, okay, worst case scenario, you get 2 good choices. That's a good day.
Yeah, and I mean, like, the at-large seats, they're having so many amazing candidates entering this race. And we're all kind of on this, like, we're not getting nasty. We want to succeed, all of us. Granted, me and It's Hell both can't succeed. We're running for the same seat. But we signed each other's nomination forms to get us on the ballot. Like, positive campaigning is important.
Man, it's we've got to set the tone, man. And I think Andrew did a good job of that, man. He really did.
Humanity first.
Set the tone. Even in New York, he goes, you know, you guys can say the shit, say it to my face then. You know, if you're gonna be a dick, come be a dick to my face. And I'm sure you don't have the stones to do it then, because you're all bark and no bite. You're on your leash, woof woof, and saying he's not in New York or whatever. Yeah, that's why I love the fact that all the humanity.
I love the whole like, but he's a billionaire from California. I'm like, what are you talking about?
That's Elon Musk, dumbass.
Like, what Yang are you talking about? I mean, wasn't there a Yang that was in the LA area that he got confused with, like his photo got swapped with during the campaign at some point?
Well, there's Brian Yang, who was one of his supporters, but the other guy was a tech guy that was used on MSNBC.
Yes, that one.
California. His name is like John. It was John Yang, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Where's
Yang.
John Yang?
That's right.
I remember that, yeah.
But he never went low, man. You know? But he had his low-key way of trolling them too, which is genius. That all of us catch on to because I'm here for that shit. You know, I'm here for that low-key trolling. But yeah, so it sounds like you got a good situation, man, to be in a big city where you can actually make a difference on the ground. Okay, let's talk about goals. You have a fundraising goal of $5,542 more dollars, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, guys, the donation.
I'm currently at 400 and I think 48 or something last I checked.
And you're trying
to
get.
So I definitely need a lot more help on that front.
Okay.
The goal here, the reason that it's such an exact number, is I calculated out how much it's going to cost to send out my first round of mailers to invite people to listening sessions. Since I can't go door to door, I have major health problems. I don't want to put myself or others at risk by going door to door right now. I am inviting people to Zoom calls. Every person is going to get a piece of postcard in the mail. I'm going to be starting to do phone banking on March 8th. Plug there if you want to do some phone banking. We're going to be calling people, inviting them to those sessions. If they can't make it to one or either of them, they can schedule a meeting directly with me. And I'm also going to be asking them to pledge to sign my nomination forms. So that, yay, thank you so much.
Guys, just so you know, the donation links are in the description box. Or you can go straight to our website. That link is also in there. And there's
it's yennyforcouncil.com.
Well, there's 2 links on the homepage. One's for volunteer, one's for donate. Both the links are in the description box, or you can go straight to the website and go check them out. Both of them out. Yeah, so you're trying to get $6,000 to do these mailers. And do remote. I like that.
Yeah.
Now, do you have any foot soldiers though that are going door to door that can help?
I have a couple of people who are going to be helping me with the signature collection, so that like I don't have to be the one going out to every door to get the signature forms. But I am going to be trying to do it myself for that, because I think it's important for me to get some face time with the people who have some level of support for me. Meeting people in person is key for local races. My win number is around 3,500. Like I don't have a huge amount of people that I need to convince to vote for me. It is a very small, tight race that every vote is going to count. Every vote is going to matter.
So
and every like $15 someone gives me, I can send a mailer to like 6 people. So the amount of money you give to like large national, state level, or Yang's race, because it's New York City and that's larger than 38 of our states.
Yes.
It's kind of more of a drop in the bucket. But for me, like that $15 literally could make the difference for my campaign. So any support you can give, any donations, $5-10, and if you can make it monthly, that would be absolutely amazing, because knowing that money is going to be coming in is also super helpful for stress levels for candidates and their campaign teams. I do not have staff. I have volunteers, because at a local level, it just doesn't, the cost doesn't make sense. But the big thing that I need right now, other than the money, is volunteers. So I have somebody who's helping me as a kind of deputy campaign manager, finance director, all of that. Corey, he's doing a amazing job keeping me on the ball of things. I've got Hallie, who's helping me out around her schoolwork, and I've got a couple of other people that are helping out with different things. Kim DeVong from California is helping me out with writing scripts for phone banks and doing some data entry stuff. So like there's stuff to do that is like major, massive time investment type stuff. So if you have a skill that you want to explore, or ideas that you want to see if they'll work on a campaign, or you want to get some experience for when you're running yourself, I am more than happy to have you on board. If you need an internship, I'm more than happy to fill out whatever payments. Thank you so much, Adam. Thank you.
Yes. That's what it takes, guys. I like what Chase said here. The Art of War says this: the little battles are worth winning.
Yep.
You damn right. There's two ends in winning, though. That's been
but I mean, even if you don't have a lot of time, I have a whole slew of photographs of business cards that I've had around my house for years, and I need to digitize them. So I've taken photos of them, and I've got them in a folder on Google Drive. And if you've got 10 minutes and can go grab an image, there's 6 cards per image or 8 cards per image. I don't remember exactly. And you just hop those over into a spreadsheet, like whenever you've got some time. So like I literally have things for people who only can spend 15 minutes like once to being able to invest like 15 hours a week at anything in there. I personally do not have a regular job. I had to close my business due to COVID and my personal health problems.
You had a dog business, right?
Yep. I had a pet care business doing dog walking, pet sitting. I had an employee. And in March, I closed permanently. Damn. So I do not have a job right now. This is my job. My city council role, even though it is a part-time role for most people, I'm going to be doing it as full-time.
Right.
We need to have people that are doing more in office. A lot of the time that I'm hearing in these city council meetings is like, oh, I didn't know about that. I didn't research that. I didn't hear about this. And I'm like, it's your job to know. It's your job to understand what's on these agendas and what's on these bills that are coming through the State House that you're being asked to sign a pledge for, or like it's
sorry.
We need to do better. We're the second largest city in New England. Yeah. We need to have a city council that is focused on being a city council. My current district councilor, he recused himself, I think it was 4 times in the city council meeting last night because he works for a bank. So a lot of the things that have to do with financial stuff, he has to recuse himself. So there's a lot of conflict of interest that happens for some of the city councilors, not all.
That's messed up.
But I mean, at the same time, I see eye to eye with some of the city councilors that I never expected to see eye to eye at. Donna Calorio, who is a Republican, she's the head of the Republican City Committee. She and I are both working together on a parks issue.
Yeah, that's what's up.
And like, because party doesn't matter at a city level.
It really
it's a nonpartisan seat for a reason. There are different ways to interact with people based on politics and based on where you're at and what your beliefs are, and that does influence things. But a lot of the stuff that matters at a city level, what sidewalks are getting fixed, what the tax rate's going to be for next year, what parks are going to be getting repaired, what schools are getting fixed, what commission is getting new members on it, what department is having a new initiative,
things.
Those kinds of things. It doesn't matter what party you are.
Right.
And that's part of like the whole not left, not right, forward thing. I'm from a very Republican family. I grew up in a well-to-do area, just over the border from Greenwich, Connecticut into New York in Armonk. And I was born into privilege.
Okay.
So I've had a lot of people lately being like, no, you shouldn't say that anymore. I'm like, okay, cool. Thank you. And they look at me like, you okay. Like, you're not fighting me on that? I'm like, no.
Yeah, whatever, man.
If I am wrong for saying something or doing something or using a word I shouldn't, I learned the other day that this is something that should have occurred to me, but it just came out of my mouth because it's a phrase that I've always used, is grow some balls.
Oh,
with people who are trans, that is extremely insensitive. And it didn't occur to me. So my friend who was in the car with me pointed it out. And I was like, oh, thank you. Because it just kind of flows out of my mouth. And now I know. Thank you.
I'm older than you, man. I'm Gen X. So we said a bunch of dumb shit. Like a lot of very exclusionary. Oh, man. Because I think of the people I went to school with. We had a couple people who came out gay later. But they didn't feel safe. And I wonder why. Because of the shit we said was not.
I mean, even when I was going to school, I was in high school just after 9/11, early 2000s. And I was president of our GSA. I was getting shoved in lockers. I was like, it was not pretty. There was all sorts of rumors about me and my co-president, because she's female, that the two of us were dating just because we're in the GSA together and we're female. I don't know. At the time, I identified as straight, so I don't know.
Well, that's the thing too, because like my oldest daughter volunteered with the GSA at her high school because all of her friends were part of the community. She's just there to help and support. And then everybody's like, asking her, "Hey, are you gay?" And she's like, "No, I don't think so." It's like, "Well, what are you doing?" She's like, "I don't know, supporting my friends." You know,
being humane.
Yeah. How dare you help something that doesn't directly affect you in a positive way? That's why I love my kids, because they're a great. So humble brag, which is an oxymoron. I'm bragging. I think I've raised some damn good kids because they're sympathetic, empathetic. They actually give a shit about other people. And they stick up for other people too. And they're just good.
Important.
No one's pregnant and no one's in jail. That's all I needed before. Now that's an expectation, which wasn't in my family. That wasn't my upbringing was not, you're doing okay if you don't get pregnant, don't go to jail. It's like, you're probably going to get somebody pregnant. You're probably going to quit school and you're probably going to do drywall the rest of your cousins. And I was like, hell no. Like, I didn't want to repeat those mistakes. So my kids have different expectations because I put those on. I normalize the idea of, okay, you have to have a plan after you get out of high school, military, college, or have a career path of some sort, something. You ain't going to sit here and live off my dime that I don't got. I'm rubbing my nickels together. Those are my nickels after you graduate, you know. I'm going to help them, but they don't have any expectations or any kind of my kids aren't privileged either. So like, they know they got jobs. All four of my kids got jobs. Well, my one son doesn't, 'cause he had surgery, but like, my kids are hard workers, man. They're good kids and they're humanists, you know, and we need that. But here's the thing. They're not outside the norm now. So I think kids are learning to have more empathy, more sympathy, more awareness of other, like the LGBTQ community, of minorities all together. They're like learning that they're part of society too. Treat them as such. When, you know, man, Gen Xers, boy, ugh. I feel.
I still deal with people that are in the area that use he, she to refer to trans people.
Yeah. Yep. It.
Like,
that one pisses me off. I'm like, that's not cool.
The worst one was, I was in a D&D group, and one of the people there used he, she to refer to his female cousin because she transitioned to female. And
yeah,
he's only like 4 or 5 years older than me.
Well, it's hard to unlearn those things, man.
It's not even necessarily an unlearn. He deliberately in that conversation said he was not willing to.
Oh, well, then she's just an asshole.
Yeah. And I didn't get backed up when I called him on it by anyone else at the table. And that was part of my decision to leave that D&D group.
They're punks.
That and just I didn't have time for it anymore. It was every other Friday, and I'm campaigning.
Yeah. So are there specific skill sets that you're needing in your campaign, like graphics or social media team? Are you?
Yeah. So I would super duper love to have somebody help me with social media, making sure that my posts go out, that I share things from groups that need to be shared. I have a tendency to not wake up all that early in the morning. So when the city posts like, these are where the COVID vaccination things are, and this is where the testing sites are for the week. Like, I don't get them up until like 3 o'clock in the afternoon when one of them's already happened.
So do you have like a volunteer who's like a campaign manager to kind of help you coordinate your schedules and stuff like that, or?
Not yet.
Okay.
So I have somebody who's doing kind of like the everything. Corey is amazing. He was originally just focused on fundraising finance side of things and is kind of helping out as like deputy campaign manager. He's got something that's happening mid-March that's going to take him away for a little bit. So he didn't want to commit full into being campaign manager, but I would totally be happy to have him be campaign manager.
If I had time, I would love to do something like that. Just be like, I'd like to be your Zach Grauman. You know what I mean? Like that one that's like, okay, so here's today's agenda. While you were sleeping in, guess what I got done? 3 o'clock, your ass is up. You better get ready. You brush your teeth. You're moving. Let's go. I
give my campaign manager the morning to figure out the day, and then I would do my day, and the campaign manager would go to sleep, and then I would continue my night. Because there are some nights I'm up till 4 a.m.
Yeah. Well, you don't.
My husband's not a fan of that. He likes it when I'm actually sleeping with him.
Yeah. Right here. But yeah, man, I think this is a great opportunity for people that would like to give it a shot. Now, are any of those positions remote, or do you need people in person?
So I am conducting as much of my campaign digitally as I can. I want to protect people from COVID, and I also don't want to put any limitations on people who could otherwise get involved, but might not physically be able to, even if they're local. Right. I am very disability aware because of the fact that I have some, and that's actually one of the other key things in my campaign is like our city's website can't be navigated by a screen reader for visually impaired people. Like, it's beautiful, but it's hard coded. And so it doesn't do things right. And then there's like 3 menus so that even a neurotypical visually fine person has a hard time finding things. Yeah. I just found information that I didn't even know existed about our street sweeping program, about like when you need to move your cars for the spring and fall cleanups.
Gotcha.
And I'm just like, we have to move our cars for an entire week. And then someone on Facebook was like, no, you don't. Just go here. It'll tell you which 2 days. I'm like, why did that not get shared anywhere for the 7 years I've been here? Social media, I'm on Facebook it's facebook.com/vote Yenni. And Twitter, it's just Yenni Desroches.
Okay. And what I'll do is I'll make a clip for that too. That way people can get to it. But yes, I think, man, I really, now that I've done what I've done for the past 2 years, just like you've learned a lot about, you're like, okay, I would love to take on that responsibility and that.
I'd be happy to have you.
That, what do you call that? That moment to learn, like really learn some shit. Unfortunately, I am slammed.
Yeah. You've got Trickle up.
Yeah, the 4 kids, the full-time job.
4.
The Trickle.
I forgot that it was 4.
Yeah, I got 4. I got 1 in college and 3 in high school. So in 2 years, I'll be more available. And I'm going to possibly consider running in 2022 for state legislation. Nice. Me and Ron from McCoy are living in Michigan. We're about 30 minutes away from each other. So we're thinking about buddying up and doing like co-supporting thing like you were talking about. The person you're running against, you guys signed for each other, to get on the ballot,
I'm I'm working. There's a candidate in District 2, Joanna Hampton Dance, who's going up against Candy Merrill Carlson, who's an incumbent. And she and I have been communicating the entire time. When I see something that relates to her district, I send it over to her. When she sees stuff I should know about, she sends it to me. She's also going to be introducing me to the Nipmuc tribe. She's a member. The indigenous tribe here.
Okay, gotcha.
In Massachusetts is the Nipmuc. Yeah, tongue-tied. And so she's invited me to come to one of their council meetings to observe, just so I can learn about that. Because first off, I am an info geek. When I dive into a topic and start learning about something, it kind of just takes over everything. So I have to be pulled out of doing my data types. Campaign people, because otherwise I'll just sit. Like, I spent 4 days researching different methods for traffic systems and management of bus systems and routes and all of that. Like, I went in a deep dive of like the programs and things we would need to implement to fix it. Like, I didn't need to do that dive that early in my campaign. Right. I could have waited until I was elected to do that deep of a dive, even.
Paid to do that shit.
But I love information. I love learning. And that's part of why I'm doing the listening tour, because I don't know everything, and I know I don't know everything.
Well, speaking of data dive, somebody on Twitch says, "What are your 26 favorite Def Leppard songs in alphabetical order?" Hilarious.
I can't name them.
I didn't know they made 26 songs.
I can't name them.
I
know most of their discography. My father was a huge rock person.
Yeah.
So like, he took me to all sorts of concerts. Kiss is his like primary. But I went to Cheap Trick a couple of times. I saw Aerosmith. I've seen a bunch of country artists. But like, I have a really weird, diverse set of musical interests.
Adam says that's his first concert.
Ah, that's cool.
How cool is that, man? I've only been to a couple of concerts my whole life. You know,
I did a lot of like Warped Tour and stuff like that.
Well, for me, it's just growing up poor. You don't go to concerts. That's not an option. It's not like, I wonder what concert I want to go to this summer. It's like, no, I wonder where I'm going to get a job. You know, like that wasn't like, I didn't see the ocean before I joined the U.S. Navy for 4 years. Like, I just said, I think I like the ocean. I've never seen it. Bam. I hope I don't get seasick, and just went for it, you know? And in the military, I think I got to see my first concert was Papa Roach.
Okay.
Well, that's random. But yeah, I've never been. And then, oh man.
I also was in that teeny bopper phase. I did the NSYNC, the Backstreet Boys, the Britney Spears, Pink. Pink is my all-time favorite. Like, she's just freaking amazing.
Well, she's a cool chick. Yeah.
One of her songs is actually one of the ones that made it into my finalist list for campaign songs. Are we all we are?
Oh, okay. What's your campaign song?
I haven't picked one yet.
Oh, well, that's a must have.
Yeah. I'm still narrowing it down.
That's the fun part, right?
I kind of have left that on the back burner because it really doesn't matter. There's so much that Bryan Adams is awesome.
Bryan Adams. Back on his great woods in Mansfield. Okay.
Adams local.
Yeah. So you can tell. Well, he donated your campaign, man. Reoccurring $20 a month donor. That's freaking awesome, kid. You look young, so outstanding. Thank you for participating in their public office elections. But yeah, I did. Okay. When is your election?
So we have the preliminary election. It's not a primary because it's a nonpartisan. So anytime the district seats go more than 2 people, there's a preliminary election that's happening in September. I believe it's September 15th. And then the general election is November.
Okay. So we got some time to work with. and hopefully this summer COVID gets under control. I'm actually going to be going to New York City in June.
Oh, fun.
To do
campaign trailing.
Yeah, do some live streaming again, and I got to go see my Yang Gang family, man. I got to meet people in person. I miss it so much, man. It's been a year.
Yeah, it's hard.
It's ridiculous. It's not fair. Like, I had planned to go to Vegas, man. I was ready.
Mm-hmm.
My boss. So Yang drops out that night. My boss texts me. So I don't think you need to go to Vegas for a week now, do you? I'm like, no.
Oh, that's depressing.
I used up all my vacation time in about 2 years that I had not used for 15 years. I had a shit ton banked. I used like, what was it? In 2019, I think she said I used like 240 PTO hours.
Wow.
I took
You're lucky you're in a place that you can bank that, because a lot of states don't let you.
Yeah, I'm in healthcare, so the hospital system lets you bank up to like 300 or something like that. And I was at like 275. I was really up there.
You might as well use it.
And I use it for good cause. My very first time taking time off for politics was Detroit's debates, the Detroit debates in June. June? No, that's a lie. Because Detroit was in July. In June, I took a few days off to go to Grand Rapids to protest Donald Trump's rally. That's my first political thing I've done. But I started taking time off like crazy. And they're like, you need another Monday, Tuesday off? I'm like, yep. Another Thursday, Friday, Monday, Tuesday? Yep. This is just take the whole week. Okay. I'll take it. And she's like, you got it. Then she regretted it because I started taking a week off a couple times here and there. Even like when I first started dating my girlfriend, I met her during Christmas break. And then I flew into LA that week. And then I flew to Iowa. No, I drove to Iowa like every other weekend, like 7 times. And
well, you're at least like decently close for Iowa in Michigan. And you're not afraid of the weather that hit people in Iowa.
No, I got all
you had an appropriate coat.
Yes, exactly.
Unlike some people that I saw that were in like what the South calls a winter coat.
Yeah.
which in the North is more of like
it's the undercoat.
It's a windbreaker.
No shit, man, that's for sure. Yeah, they had to go to the store and buy winter gear. I remember when Paget and Steve were out there. Like, she had decent stuff, but I said, that ain't going to work. You need hand warmers.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, well, I got the gloves. I'm like, and the gloves are going to get cold too. Paget was from LA. Kai was from Washington State, and he's living in Atlanta. He had a little more preparation. Tom, the connector's from Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody's expecting to have like the blizzard that came.
Yeah, it got cold out there.
I got lucky. When I was there, it was decent. One day I was in not this t-shirt, but a Yang Gang t-shirt, knocking on doors in a t-shirt. And
it's the North. It's seriously, it's like, wait a minute, and the weather will change.
Yeah. But
in New England, that's very true. The other day, not the other day, it was like a month or so ago, we had a whiteout conditioned snowstorm come through that lasted 2 minutes.
Yeah, we get. Oh yeah,
it's really weird.
I live off of Lake Michigan. Like, I'm 10 miles or 7 miles from Lake Michigan due east. So when we get lake effect, we get lake effect. And
Worcester is currently the snow capital of the country.
Really?
Yep.
Is it because of Erie?
I have no idea.
Nor'easters?
I guess we're getting a lot of nor'easters because the polar vortex pulled things down and things are hooking around and hitting us. So we've got we got snow coming again, and it's like every 2 or 3 days we get more snow, and then it kind of like warms up a little and the snow sinks. It doesn't melt, it sinks.
It compresses. Let me think. Right now, today was 45 in Michigan. It's the warmest day we've had in a long time. Yeah, we're gonna be in the 40s this week, man. High 30s, low 40s. I am
heat wave.
Super. Yeah, damn right. I have a metal roof that just got put on by some Amish dudes. So in the snow, it's got the lines in it. So when it gives, it all gives. I was sitting here having a meeting yesterday with someone on a Zoom call like this. I'm sitting here, and right outside my window, it sounded like 1,000-foot tree fell outside my door. Boom! And it shook the house. I was like, "Oh shit!" They're like, "You okay?" I was like, "Yeah, it's just a bunch of ice fell off my roof. The frozen snow." And I went outside, and it was just like accordion, this huge stack. And if that would have hit someone, that would have been an injury. And it's like that on all four sides of my house. Well, no, two sides where the pitch runs off. Yeah. But yeah, we get it packed pretty tight here in Michigan, man. And yeah, Jay says northeast cold is a whole different level. Sure. Yeah, it is. Winter sucks, man.
We had a few days where it was neg with wind chill. And folks up here were like, "Oh, it finally got cold."
Yeah.
We had like neg 16 with wind chill, and people were like, "Oh, I have to actually care about the fact that it's cold."
Yeah, last winter
I feel so bad for like Texas though. Like they are not prepared for that kind of weather.
No, and their housing code isn't ready for that type of weight on the roof.
They don't require heating in buildings.
Right. Or
it's not part of code.
Or even their insulation isn't a high requirement like it is here or everywhere in the north, where you got to have what's it, like 6 inches or 12 inches, what it is, of insulation in your attic. You got to have X amount in your walls. Your windows got to be, if you replace your windows in Michigan, it's got to be up to code, which is the pane, double paned energy. They got to be 80% efficiency and Texas is like, build a shack. We don't give a shit. They just don't care. They don't regulate anything, and that's why it failed miserably. And me and Mia Dunford. I mean, not her Songbirds, her Twitter thing. Me and her covered a couple of those articles here recently on the Trickle up on the low, and we dove into the information. And was like, holy crap, they don't regulate.
Like, I was actually curious because up here, the fact that they're charging them like $10,000 for their electricity is just absolutely ridiculous and mind-boggling to me. Like, how is that legal? And then I was like, I looked it up and I'm like, apparently there are states where there's no ruling against that kind of thing.
Well, not just that. Federal.
It's not usually. I'm not sure what the right word for it is, but it is horrible.
Well, the thing is, in Texas, it's such a big state. They regulated themselves to where they don't cross state lines. So it's not a federal regulation. That's how they avoid federal regulation. So there's going to be a discussion because it says they actually put a cap on their stuff as like $9 per megawatt or kilowatt, which is pretty high considering I think mine is like 1.6 or something like that. I saw for the electric.
I'm somewhere down around there. We've got municipal solar.
Oh, we don't have that here. But that's the thing. They're trying to blame it on wind turbines. And why did the wind turbines freeze? Because they didn't winterize them like they're supposed to. It's not the turbines' fault. They have them in Iowa. A whole bunch of them in Iowa, let me tell you.
We've got them off the coast of the Cape.
Yeah. There's bad weather there too.
if you can run them off the Cape, if you can run them in Canada.
Yep.
It's not the turbine's fault.
In the Arctic Circle, they have winter because it's so windy. It makes sense. So yeah, their excuses are.
I learned something cool about the Arctic Circle area.
Yeah.
Up there, it is illegal to lock the door to your home because somebody might need to run away from a polar bear.
Huh. Interesting. That's a weird rule, but I get it.
Yep. I totally understand it. It's
Both
like
things hunt
if a moose or a polar bear are running for you, you are going to be thankful that that door is unlocked.
Has anyone actually seen how big a moose is, man?
I went to school in Vermont. I was driving up from New York to Vermont, and I got stuck behind an 18-wheeler that had hit a moose.
Ooh.
The moose's antlers were embedded in the windshield of the truck. That's how tall mooses are. Moose. I think moose is like plural on its own.
Multiple moose are moose. Yes.
Every time I think of moose, though, my brain just goes to Princess Diaries. Make all the male moose go huang. That just dated myself to the
inconceivable. That's what I think of when I hear Princess Bride. Never better.
Oh, not Princess Bride. The one with Anne Hathaway.
Princess Diaries.
Diaries. There we go.
Yes,
Diaries. I was like really
Princess
bad.
Bride. I'm thinking of Death by a Sicilian.
I'm a bad geek.
Retro. I'm a huge movie guy, though. I'm a movie guy.
I am no good with like movie names, quotes, names of actors and actresses, unless they're like in like everything. Like Anne Hathaway, I know.
Is there anything else you want to say about your campaigns? I have a lot of fun questions I'm going to ask you now.
Oh yeah, campaign-wise, one of the major things that I'm going to be trying to do is improve our technology usage. Because the city in general. Okay. We just picked up a new financial software budget system because the previous one had been programmed by people in the 90s and they retired. And it's a dead language.
On a punch card spreadsheet?
I don't know, but it was very out of date. Yeah. And self-managed, and systems would go down, and no one knew how to code new add-ons, and
Windows 3. Or no, it wasn't 3. Was it like 97?
Yeah, probably would have been Windows 95, maybe 98, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I remember like Apple IIe. That was my first computer.
Oh gosh.
I was on CompuServe and ProdigyNet before AOL came out.
Yeah.
I was very young to be using those, and my mother was not happy with the fact that my father let me go on those or play Doom at the age of 5, but
dude, you turned out all right.
Yeah. My mother was concerned because of the gore, and I'm like, what? They look like squished spiders. Like, that's not gore. That's a splotch of red and brown.
Yeah. It's going to destroy the kids.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm old enough that the very first computer coming to schools, period, was when I was in 5th grade. It was a Commodore 64.
Mm-hmm.
64 bytes. Not gigabytes, not kilobytes, bytes. This live
Our first hard drive was 300 bytes.
This live stream is going to be more than 64 bytes.
Mm-hmm. A second of this live stream is more than that.
That computer couldn't process it. And we had to put floppy disks and what's that called? MS-DOS programming, which is like line code. 10, run 20. 20, and then you got to put a command key, quotation marks, execution, quotation, execute, go to 30. And I didn't realize we're writing code in 5th grade. I remember I made a basketball player. I was a huge sports kid. So I made a stick figure holding a basketball, and I coded it, and I printed out a basketball person. I was like, yay.
That's awesome.
That's way back, man. And so, like, I'm that Gen Xer that my generation, Gen Xers, are unique that we were raised by the boomers, man. And yet we're the first ones to come up with technology, with computers, where I didn't take typing, I took keyboarding.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have to hit the back button on a typewriter and pull the thing and sling it over. Keyboarding, when we were in 6th grade, they gave us a floppy disk that we had to keep in our backpack to go to our computer class and save our DOS program on. Like we came
because the computers didn't have hard drives. Everything saved to those disks.
Right. And so now,
are you talking about the 3.5 or the 5-inch? or the pre 5-inch. There was like an 8-inch, I think. It was the 5-inch ones.
About that big. Yeah, about 5 inches. Yeah.
The actually floppy. Like they actually.
Floppy. Yeah. The other one was the hard disk, the 3.5. They were hard disks. Yep, the floppy disk. Then there's a hard disk. And then
my favorite thing that I've been seeing a lot of like kids today reacting to stuff that their parents had, and like there was a reaction to a 3.5-inch floppy. That's not actually. They retained the name floppy because the 5 inches ones were actually floppy, but they were like, you 3D printed a save graphic, like the save icon.
Yeah, I've seen those. They're great. Well, like
I felt old.
So like, but that's the thing. My generation, we grew up with the technology. Like at its infancy was the technology, and so were we. We were prepubescents growing up with computers. The first generation, and then we got to be the ones that wrote code to execute actual programs. And that's kind of, we're in that unique position where I'm tech savvy better than my kids because I grew up with that. And my generation can be as tech savvy as we want to be. Hell, my generation owns all these damn tech companies, you know. Not all of them. Shit, there's younger ones for sure. There's these like Sam Hayden and God, these guys and they're millennials, man. These fuckers. That's you.
I like to use there's Eliza Schlesinger, who's my favorite female comedian. Yes. I love her. Yeah. I am an elder millennial.
The thing is, I grew up with computers, but you guys grew up with the internet at a young age.
Yeah.
Like the internet didn't come out until I was in high school. So, and the internet was only for emails only, as business to business transactions. It wasn't like...
Yeah, I was on CompuServe and ProdigyNet before AOL came out, which is something that most people don't even know what those are, even if they were from the millennial generation, because they were like, they didn't have much reach because computers weren't in people's homes as much then.
Right.
But my father is a doctor, so he was having to dial into things with work. So we had 2 lines in the house before most people had 2 lines to handle the internet on one line. Like, it was always like, hang, you need to get off the internet because I need to make a phone call.
Exactly.
Like that didn't happen in my house because we had to have that open because they had to be able to also call my father.
Is your dad's name Hank?
Huh?
Is your dad's name Hank?
No, Lewis.
Oh, I thought you said Hank. I was like, that's a great name.
No. No, I'm Italian. It's Lewis's and Angelo's.
And Tony's.
We actually don't really have that many Tonys in my immediate family, but there's extended family that does.
Well, I live in an area in Southwest Michigan. It's a very large Italian community because of the Italians from Chicago come here in summer. They call it summer. We're from Chicago. We got DiMaggio's. We got
yeah, I'm like my grandfather. Sorry, he passed away in November 2019. So like every time I think of him, my brain just goes. But he actually came over here when he was 13 through Ellis, on a boat. So
right?
Like he built himself up from, he was going, he and his father had a cart selling ice and coal. And well, I mean, like you would have to actually buy ice for your ice box.
For your ice box, yeah, for fridge.
It's not a fridge, it's an ice box.
Yep.
That's a foreign concept to most people that they don't even realize that was like how you had to keep things cold was you had to buy ice.
Yeah.
But he built
that
up into an oil company. And when I was 2, he sold the oil company and went into real estate.
Wow. He's on the come up.
Then
his son became a doctor.
Yep.
That's no joke, man. That's the American dream.
And that is not possible for most people today.
No, now you got to be asleep to accept that dream. You know, you got to be sleeping. Yeah. So I have 3 questions for you.
Okay.
1, What is your favorite band or musician of all time?
Can I pick it by genre?
Sure.
Okay. Well, in the pop sector, it would be Pink. Mm-hmm. In the kind of more internet age YouTube star side of things, it's Lindsay Sterling.
I don't know that one.
She is I think she still uses this term, hip hop violinist.
Okay.
She does amazing violin instrumental music that she writes, and she does it while like literally dancing around and moving through stuff. Like
bang her head and shit, right?
No, like literally like leaping and dancing and moving all around while she's playing. It's amazing. You have to look her up.
Okay.
She started off doing a lot of covers of geeky stuff. That's how I found her. But she's got some really amazing like Zelda and Skyrim and things like that. And, yeah.
My kids would dig that shit.
Yeah. She's really awesome.
Yeah.
And then country music wise, it's probably
they love Lindsay.
Tim McGraw, Trace Atkins, maybe.
Okay.
And then
heard of them.
In the kind of more punk sector, Green Day. It's easy.
That's my daughter's favorite punk right there. She loves Green Day.
In terms of like groups that people don't have any idea who they are, there's a group out of South Africa who's in that like soft rock area of things, called Civil Twilight. I really, really love their stuff. And rock music wise, I kind of default to Kiss because I'm just so overexposed to it. My father actually got us, through some charity auction thing, a dinner with Gene Simmons and Shannon Tweed.
Wow, that's crazy.
So we went and had dinner with them. It was amazingly interesting because apparently me and his son share the same birthday. My sister and their daughter share the same birthday.
That's wild.
I like geeky things, and I'm really interested in books and anime and things like that. So is their son. My sister, really into sports and volleyball. So is their daughter. We both have the same favorite foods. Vegetables, spinach for me and broccoli for my sister. It was really creepy having those conversations.
Yeah, it's uncanny, huh?
But the weirdest part of it was Shannon had broken her arm during a ski accident. So she was in a cast while we were there. And a month later, my father got us backstage tickets. As I said, I'm from privilege. We got backstage tickets to take a photo with the band. So we went back there and we're smiling for the photo. And I ask Gene, how's Shannon? And he's just like confused. I'm like, with her arm? And he's like, what? She broke her arm. We had dinner with you last month with her. I was curious how her arm's doing. And he was confused. It was very weird.
Who's asking about my kid? This is weird.
Well, Shannon's his now wife.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wait. Okay.
Shannon Tweed, she was a former Playboy.
Gotcha.
Also at that dinner interacted slightly with Vanna White. I knew she was short. I didn't quite realize how short until she was standing next to my father, who was sitting, and she was shorter than him.
So she's like
granted, my father's 6'2", so he's pretty tall, but
so she's like 5 foot nothing?
4'11".
So that's why she wears high heels all the time, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
But she was pretty cool too. But I've had a lot of like really weird interactions like that. I don't have problems around celebrities because I grew up around them. Bryce Howard was in my high school, Ron Howard's daughter. I was friends with Bernie Williams Jr. He was in some of my art classes. So I come from that like has world. Like the we have everything's world.
Right.
And I now live paycheck to paycheck middle class.
Right.
And I am a landlord and I was a small business owner, but we're okay.
Right.
We need me to be pulling in an income to be actually okay.
That's a big
and with my small business, I was reinvesting a lot of it. So this job would actually be the highest paying job I've ever had.
Gotcha.
Which is why I don't have a problem doing it full time.
Right. It's worth your time. Okay, so second question. If you could have dinner with any 4 people alive today, who would they be and why? I've done this a long time to people. I'm trying to get back to like to get those little get to know you.
I'm used to the alive or dead. Nope. That makes it more difficult alive.
Party of 5. You're one of them. These are fun questions.
Elon Musk, because I think he's just a very interesting character that would be interesting to spend some time around.
Yeah.
Because the ideas and things that he says is just interesting, and I'd love to be able to pick his brain. Michelle Obama. She's very inspirational, and she didn't let shit get to her. And as somebody who's running for office, that's something that I'd love to learn from, well, I mean, anyone. I mean, I things roll off my shoulders normally, but I find myself getting a little defensive as a candidate.
Well, and not to her level of scrutiny, man.
Yeah.
They were calling her a dude.
Yeah.
Those people are disgusting. Yeah. Anyway. Yes.
Hayao Miyazaki.
Who's that?
Ghibli. He's an animation guy from Japan.
Okay.
Totoro and Kiki's Delivery. No, not Kiki's Delivery Service. Not Ghibli. Where is it?
The only anime I've ever heard of that I actually could recognize is Naruto. Yeah. I recognize that.
So the stuff from Ghibli it's animated. It's kind of anime, but it's also he takes his experiences and growing up in rural Japan and puts like a fairy tale spin on things. Cool. It's really interesting. His stuff is super deep, and the animation style is just absolutely beautiful. Even if you're not a fan of anime, I strongly and highly recommend checking out Princess Mononoke and Howl's Moving Castle. Pretty much any of their stuff is great. Ponyo was a recent one. I'm not as much of a fan of that one. He retired, and I was very, very sad. And then a few weeks ago, I saw him say that he's coming out of retirement because he's bored, and I'm very happy about that.
Okay. So you got an anime person.
Yep.
You got, what was the first one?
Musk.
Oh yeah, Elon. Yeah, you got Elon Musk. You got an anime guy, and you got the
Michelle Obama.
Who's gonna finish off your table of life? It's definitely Yenni.
I'm not sure. I don't know. You're just gonna sit here with like the like little pinwheel loading symbol happening if I try and answer another one because my brain just literally went blank. Oh, Kiki's is delivered. Okay, Ghibli. Okay. Because there is an animated movie that I love that I'm blanking on which one. Concrete and Paprika are both complete and utter mind fucks, but they're not Ghibli. But I also strongly recommend them. Those were the ones that I was thinking of that aren't Ghibli.
I'm in anime. My oldest son has the Naruto thingy on his wrist right here.
Nice.
The Naruto. He did it himself.
Oh, cool. The stick and poke?
He tattooed himself.
Cool. I've got some friends that do that.
Not cool. Not my kid. Someone else's kid. Not my kid. Knucklehead. He's got a couple tattoos now. He's 19. But yeah, my kids are big time into anime, man. They love that shit.
Yeah, so I'd probably go with some kind of like actor, actress to round out things, but like there's so many that I would pick.
I know. That's why this is such a fun question.
Like
who inspires you, you know? That's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
Intrigues, challenges, whatever you want to call it, you know? Yep, loading.
Betty White.
Betty White, man. That's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
She's been around, man.
Mm-hmm.
The black and white days, man.
Mm-hmm.
Was she 90?
93?
90 something, yeah, man.
Yeah.
And she's still doing it.
She's the same age as the Queen, if I remember correctly.
She's still out there doing her thing, man. Betty White.
That's another person that I would absolutely love to meet is the Queen of England.
Yeah.
I just saw a funny thing today. Harry and Meghan's kids, because they're born in the United States, are eligible to become POTUS.
Oh.
Good long game, George III.
Oh my God. They're coming back to take over, guys. They're coming back to take the crown. Damn, dude. That's hilarious.
Yeah. I mean, they gave up the royal title, so technically it wouldn't end up being like the king and their kid is POTUS, but
fuck that. I'm writing that down. I'm not going to forget that.
Thank you, Facebook memes.
I'm fascinated by that idea, though.
Yeah, I was also, there was something that happened pre-election when we weren't sure what Trump was going to do with the election, whether or not he was going to do some funky business and delay the election itself. Yeah. If he had delayed the election past the date that they would need to be in office in January, I don't remember which of the cutoffs it is. January. I think it's just the 20th. Mm-hmm. The Constitution, they have a set term. If no one has been elected and no one is in the seat of president on January 20th, it is an empty seat. It does not remain with the previous president. So it would then pass to the VP, also. It would then pass to the Speaker of the House, which would be Nancy Pelosi. But the entire House is up for election. So if the election was delayed, there would not be a House to pull someone from. So it would then go to the Speaker of the Senate, the Speaker pro tempore.
Mitch.
Which, because of the fact that there were more Republicans up for re-election, Democrats would have had control of the Senate, in which case it would be Senator Patrick Leahy from Vermont. Now, the loops that have to go through to actually happen, it's more of a thought experiment than anything, but...
Yeah, but the actual truth, cool. He still loses. In every worst case scenario, he still loses.
Yep.
He's a loser. Okay. Big L, forehead, loser. Okay. Loser.
You and Matt, I don't know if you've seen Matt's interview with us from Humanity First Movement. We came on as a board onto his show, and Angelo and Matt had a impression off where they no, it was Trump versus Bernie doing a debate.
Oh, so
it was amazing.
I love doing impressions, man. I got on TikTok just to have fun. I love doing
I follow you on TikTok.
And gosh,
I love getting the bing. Oh, because you're like one of the 3 people I have on alert.
Okay, guys, I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. I got a new impression on work. I've always been able to do this, but a new concept. I'm gonna do Carl from Sling Blade karaoke. You don't know what Sling Blade is?
Mm-mm.
Oh no.
Nope, no idea.
Oh no, Yenni. We got
context. Is it movie, music?
It's a movie, okay. Man.
I'm really bad at having seen movies. I'm Italian. You'd think I'd have seen The Godfather or Sopranos or.
Whoa.
Yeah, nope.
Oh, I am such a movie guy though. Like, good Lord, that hurt my head. How are you an American? You know. But like Sling Blade is a movie, and the character's name is Carl, and he's like got some mental delays. And it's set in Alabama.
Okay.
In like maybe the 90s type of thing. And so
when did the movie come out?
In 2000s.
Okay.
I think.
I was going through my emo punk phase and not paying attention to anything. So.
Nothing matters, man.
Oh no, I was like protesting Bush.
Yeah,
I was out there. My family was not happy with me. I went to summer camp and came home with blue hair. I'm still blue. Wow. I love the blue.
Well,
I will never get rid of the blue.
I will challenge you to go watch Sling Blade.
Sling Blade. Okay, I'm going to jot that down.
It is a great movie. I think it's a comedy, but it's not a comedy. I just laughed a lot. You know what I mean? It's one of those types of movies. But I'm doing this. The character's name's Carl, and he has a weird way of talking.
Okay.
He talked like this. And so I'm calling it Sling Blade Karaoke, and I'm gonna do an entire Kanye West album on TikTok of Sling Blade.
I can't wait. That sounds amazing.
And I'm calling it, and at the end of it, I always go, at the end, I'm working on my format. I'm actually gonna put some thought into this. TikTok, I just fuck around and do shit, right? I'm actually gonna think about this shit and pre-record all this stuff with a good format. And at the end, I'm always gonna say, instead of like Kanye, I'm gonna say Carl Ye, bitch. You know, like
nice.
I love doing fun stuff like that because politics is so serious, you know.
Mm-hmm. It needs to not be so serious because it's honestly a gatekeepy aspect.
Yes, it is.
Because people who don't have the upbringing to speak in that way are ostracized.
What the? My daughter is doing this hamster club thing where all their profile picture is a hamster. She got 500 followers a day. God, kids are weird.
Wait. Hamsters are back.
And no content, just a picture.
And it's not the hamster dance? Hamster dance was one of the original memes.
I
love you mentioning Carl as a name. My brain immediately went, Carl, that kills people.
What's that?
From Llamas with Hats. It is a thing from Newgrounds back in the day, in the early days of the meme.
Oh wait, you bit my finger, girl?
No, it is a animated thing with 2 llamas that have hats.
Oh, okay.
And one of them just kind of kills people. It's really weird. Oh, the hamster dance, yeah.
Okay. Foreign language.
Yep. No, it's the pattern of the music. There's no actual lyrics, but it just has a pattern to it. There was another one. oh crud, I forget the name of it, but it's well, take a nap. Then fires the missiles.
Goodness gracious.
There's a llama, there's a llama and a very little llama. Llama tasted llama duck. I lived in a tree house. I once been a snake. I was only 3 years dead, but I told the tale. Now you listen, little child, to the safety rail.
That's disturbing.
That one, that there's like a whole song there, and I use a program that allows me to set ringback tones for people. No, well, not ringback tones. Voicemail things based on their phone number. Who's calling me gets a certain voicemail. I set my sister's to that. She doesn't leave me voicemails because it's too long.
Have you seen that new movie about the kid whose imaginary friend is Adolf Hitler?
Yes. And I basically went, no, we do not need to glorify anything like that. What are you doing?
Something rabbits?
Yeah.
Something rabbit.
I don't remember, but it's
something rabbit. My son was like, Dad, you got to watch this. It's hilarious. I'm like, okay, what is it? He's like, this kid's imaginary friend is Adolf Hitler. And he's like a kid in Germany, and he looks up to Hitler, and it just makes fun of Hitler. I'm like, it makes fun of Hitler? But I don't know.
No, thank you.
I was like, well, I'm curious, I guess. So I sat down and watched with him. Like, dude, this is hard to watch, man. He's like, but there are some funny parts. And I'm like, yeah, there are some funny parts, but it's glorifying the German with the mustache, you know? And they kept saying Heil Hitler. I was like, God damn it. Even if you're making fun of it,
and it was pitched as a movie for families.
Really? That's even weirder.
It's like PG-13, I think.
Yeah, it doesn't say a lot of swearing or nudity. Definitely some violence. They're shooting people.
Yeah.
It's at the end of the World War II when Hitler blows out the brains. Oh man. Anyway, yeah, I'm a big movie guy, man, and my kids.
I'm more of a I dive into the history side of things. So I saw Patton when I was 5. My father was watching it, and I entered the room, and I just sat down and watched it with him. And ever since then, I had a major love affair with World War II history. Not the Holocaust side of things. I know next to nothing about the Holocaust side of things. But in 8th grade, my history teacher basically yada yada D-Day. He gave it 2 sentences and moved on. I'm the kid in class that can't stay quiet when that kind of thing happens, or when a teacher gets something wrong. I was the kid that was correcting them.
Yeah.
So I stood up and I listed everything that happened in D-Day and which ships landed and which troops lost this many people there and that many people there. I also knew where the paratroopers were supposed to land, where they did land, what their death counts were, who moved where afterwards. I knew all of those numbers in 8th grade. I wanted to become a history teacher.
I didn't really get a love of history until about when I went in the military, is when I started really appreciating it. You know, because coming up in high school, I was so focused on sports and getting the hell out of that shit trailer park that history don't matter to me right now. I'm trying to go to tomorrow, and I didn't want to repeat my parents' mistakes. I wanted to escape my family's legacy of poverty, ignorance, and young birth rates and stuff like that. But once I got in the military and I started really I opened my eyes a little more. And I'm like,
well, when you have your basic needs met, you can look beyond the self.
That's actually very true. I was thinking about making a video about how the military gets a UBI. And people grow a lot in the military.
Our service members need to make more.
Absolutely.
They should not be on food stamps.
A universal basic income is the biggest raise they'll ever get, as well as Social Security receivers, the people that have paved the way for us to have this system, you know? So, yeah. Well, my third and final question is, what 4 people do you have dinner with that are dead?
Patton?
That was an easy one.
Yeah. That was very quick. Hamilton.
Oh.
Alexander Hamilton.
The one from the musical or the actual person?
The actual person. When I get asked the question, if you could be a fly on the wall for anything in history, any event in history, even before the musical came out. This is not me being a musical junkie, even though I'm a musical junkie. I was listening to it like right before I came on here, actually. But it was the dinner that Madison, Jefferson, and Hamilton had that decided
the bank and the Capitol and
the bank. So like,
yeah,
I would love to know what happened in that room. Mm-hmm. But I also, there's so much that he did and said, and I would love to know what the hell was going through his minds when he did the Reynolds pamphlet. Like, I would love to be able to ask him that question. Like, what were you thinking?
Well, I'll give you a funny little thing. Hamilton is the first of only 2 musicals I've ever watched. I can't stand them.
What's the other one?
This one, my girlfriend, is like some Christmas one with like Forrest Griffin or Forrest Whitaker was like a toy maker. It's a Christmas musical. I guess it came out this year.
Oh, okay. Then I have no idea.
Yeah. He's like a toy maker and it's kind of fantastical, very fantasy based, and his toys can fly and all kinds of weird shit, like they come to life type of things. And it's like real world, then animation. It goes back and forth.
Okay.
But it's a musical.
Interesting.
And so she knows I'm not a fan of musicals. Like I've never watched Grease or what's the one where they're up.
I feel like there's a difference between theater musicals that are on the more serious side of things, which Hamilton kind of bridges that a little bit.
Yeah.
And then there's like movie musicals. Yeah. And that's a whole different ballgame.
I'm not a fan of movie musicals, but I've never been to a musical, like a theater production, right? I've never been to that. And so my girlfriend was like, she loves musicals, all of them. Like she likes all of them. Because my girlfriend can sing. She doesn't do it in front of others. But boy, she's got some pipes. She can really sing. But so she's like, okay, babe, you pick the last movie. I was like, you get to pick. She's like, anything? I was like, whatever your heart desires. She goes, I want to watch Hamilton. I was like, what's that? She's like, oh, it's the best musical ever. I'm like, wait, the best musical ever? She goes, yes. I'm like, so it's not as good as the worst movie then, right? I was like, I'm not. I had no hopes and aspirations for it. She goes, it's a really good musical. Just give it 50. If you can't sit through the first 15 minutes, then we'll stop. Just try. I was like, okay, let's do it. Sit down, eating dinner, and it starts. And I'm like, holy shit. And after 15 minutes, like she set her timer and everything. And she's like, that's 15 minutes. I'm like, oh no, this is good. This is really good. And
yeah, because like, it's not. Well, it's not Rodgers and Hammerstein. It's not like a musical.
It's up-tempo.
It's contemporary music.
Yeah, it's hip hop, contemporary. I dig that shit. But the guy that wrote
probably like In the Heights as well. His Lin-Manuel Miranda's earlier thing about Harlem and the jazz period.
Never seen it.
I don't think there's a movie version of it. I think it's only on stage. But there's shaky cam.
I watched that.
I'm not saying you should watch shaky footage. No.
What is shaky? What?
Shaky cam.
What's that?
When somebody goes into the theater and records it, and so because they're moving.
They're having to hold it up.
Yeah.
No, I've only watched that musical and that one toy one. It's something about a Christmas one with Forrest Whitaker. That one, that was hard for me to sit through, but I was quiet. I was being a good boyfriend. I was just like, you know, I got this. She was like, how was that? I was like, I didn't like that. And she's like, oh, you didn't say nothing the whole time. I was like, I didn't want to ruin it for you. You love it. So it's not my thing, man. And she doesn't like horror movies. I love horror movies. There's no one There's no movie scary enough for me. I love them, and even my kids like that. I didn't realize I traumatized my kids with horror movies when they were younger.
I don't do horror.
Oh man.
I saw Signs and had nightmares for a week.
What? Oh, that's not even a horror movie. That's just a good movie. Oh, there's a movie called Hereditary. If you want to ruin your life.
I've heard of that. Nope.
Oh, that is a humdinger of all of them, man. That's the best horror movie ever, as far as I'm concerned. Because Hereditary, wow.
I basically stay away from anything that is remotely horror, suspense, or jump scares.
Oh, so
I hate jump scares. They got me to watch Jaws. I hadn't seen it until Thanksgiving a few years back. I think it was like 2017. And when the head pops out of the boat underwater, I literally left my seat. They say I was up by about a foot. I don't think I got quite that much air, but there was I get that from my father. We would play tricks on him and scare him, and he would hit his head on the ceiling.
Yeah.
But there was one movie that I was not expecting there to be anything scary in. It's 8 Below, about snow dogs being stuck in Antarctica. Absolutely amazing movie. Absolutely amazing. But there's one scene where there's a jump scare. We saw the movie with my mother. And then my father wanted to take us out to the movies. So we decided we were going to go to see that again, because that was really the only thing in theaters we wanted to watch at the time. And divorced parents, they want to take you out and do stuff. So we went to it, and we purposefully sat my father on the aisle and had him hold the popcorn because we knew what was coming. He fell down the steps, popcorn everywhere, because there's a scene where something pops out of it's an ancient movie. I'm just gonna say there's an elephant seal that pops out of a whale carcass, and literally just Bruh. Hey, Jewel.
King Jules in the house. Yeah.
I'll have the bio you asked for me after this. Yeah. I'm going on Jewel next week.
Yes.
Next week? The 3rd, 4th.
Okay, yeah. Wait a minute. But before we go, 4 people.
Yes. So the next one would be the last emperor of Japan before they opened back up again, Emperor Meiji. I have a major love of anything having to do with Japanese history. I owned a custom kimono business where I was making kimonos for people and selling them.
Like Steven Seagal? Kimonos?
Yeah, I actually have some of them over there.
Wow.
My stuff around in a box with some of my kimonos in it, right on the other side. Which is horrible. Now in this everyone is so sensitive to cultural appropriation that I can't wear my kimonos. Even though I went to Japan and learned how to do the dyeing technique, Yuzen dyeing, to make the actual patterns on the fabric. I understand the culture and absorbed the culture and lived in the culture. And I feel personally, I respectfully can wear a kimono. I know how to tie it. Most Japanese women in Japan don't know how to tie a kimono anymore even. But I can tie 6 different obi styles. But other people don't know that about me. So they would judge me for wearing a kimono as cultural appropriation, which I think is kind of sad. But at the same time, I understand it. So I don't wear it. It makes me sad. But and then the 4th person. Wear it on your show? I will try to.
That'd be cool. And she said, I will dress Chinese as well.
Cool.
That would be cool.
That'd be fun.
My oldest daughter, when I asked,
I would have perfect posture, that whole thing. That would be fantastic. My back's I keep moving. And then the 4th person would be Jane Austen.
That's
because I'm in Austin.
You said Patton?
It was Patton, Hamilton, Emperor Meiji, and Jane Austen. I am a super duper Austenite. Went to Bath to go see the Jane Austen Center.
Fair enough.
Hey. I actually like trade books with my grandmother. We basically read Jane Austen fan fiction that's printed. It's people who write sequels and stuff like that to her books.
Oh wow.
It's like a whole market because her stuff is out of copyright.
Oh.
My most entertaining one of those though is the vampire crossover one. Not vampire, zombies. Or is it vampires? It's vampires. Mr. Darcy Vampire.
Yeah.
There was this whole phase where they were taking classics and adding zombies and vampires to them.
Yes. Like Lincoln.
Yes.
For crying out loud. That was the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I refuse to watch it.
I read it. It was halfway decent.
I refuse.
I don't like watching movies that are from books because I get pissed off.
Mm-hmm.
I have a very, very specific example of that. I was a decent fan of the Harry Potter series before she decided she was going to go all turf. But
get rich?
Yeah. No, TERF, the trans exclusionary radical feminist.
Oh, I didn't know that was the thing.
Yeah. Rowling is
a TERF.
Yes.
Trans what now?
Trans exclusionary radical feminist. So basically, trans women are not women for feminism.
Oh, exclusionary. I got you.
It's
I see.
Yeah. It's not great. But the difference between the book and the movies, when they're going to the Yule Ball, Hermione is supposed to have straight hair that's down and be in a blue dress. They put her hair curled up and had her in a pink dress. I'm like, why can't you get stupid details like that simple in there? Like, just
I have no idea what you're talking about.
But like it's that level of detail that bugs me because it's like it's so easy to just have put her in a blue dress instead of a pink one. Why didn't you get that aspect right?
That was a bad choice.
Those kinds of things bug me.
I'm a huge Stephen King because I love scary movies. I love scary books. I've read a lot of Stephen King's, and Dean Koontz does a lot of horror books. And
I recognize his name, but don't know any of his books.
Great, lots of movies. I was not a big reader coming up because I didn't have time, honestly.
I do mostly audiobooks now, but there was a period in time where I was going through 50 plus books a year.
I'm a big audiobook person now because I drive all day for my job, going home. So
pet care. I was driving everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. So so that's your 4. Do you have an interesting little table there, I must say? Okay, then you're having dinner with all these people. What's your favorite meal? What are you guys eating?
Well, there's a dish that I can't have anymore. It's a gnocchi. I had bariatric surgery, so I have a sleeve gastrectomy. And gnocchi is a potato pasta.
Okay.
And it doesn't go down. I miss it terribly.
Oh.
It gets stuck.
I've heard of that. Gnocchi.
It's Italian.
Yeah, because I remember hearing. Yeah, I've heard
either with a nice pesto sauce or my grandmother's red sauce.
Fair enough.
Because most people don't do sauce the way she does because we're Italian. We have our own things, and each part of the family has their own things. My dad's side, my noni, she had a sauce that was really good. Nothing against her sauce. My personal preference is my grandmother's, my mom's side. She adds sugar. I have a major sweet tooth. And then there would be some sauteed spinach, maybe some balsamic glazed asparagus. And for dessert, there would be creme brulee.
Creme brulee. Yeah, I don't think I can get down with that either. Yep. I almost ordered that once on accident. I got it confused with tiramisu.
Tiramisu's good.
I don't like coffee.
So creme brulee is like a vanilla custard
Yeah.
With a melted hard sugar on top that you crack.
Mm-hmm.
And good creme brulee. You can see the little black specks from the vanilla bean.
Well, la dee da. Huh?
Mm-hmm. I've made it. It
Yeah.
didn't turn out so great.
No, I love cooking food, man. I'm a brownie guy. Brownies. Oh.
I love baking.
I made a dark chocolate banana nut bread.
Ooh.
And I made them muffins instead of bread. Phenomenal. I was very
That sounds delicious.
I want to start doing my live stream cooking shows again. I used to do live streams of me cooking shit, you know?
Ooh, that'd be fun.
And just talking to people. It's before I had StreamYard, just me on YouTube and just listening to the comment section. I'd be like, what's that? Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, hey, yeah, whatever. But I'd be like, all right, so this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to make it. This is what I'm going to do just for shits and giggles. And I even got I don't know if you notice, I have a hat that says Chef Boyardee on it.
That's awesome.
It's fucking bad.
That's fantastic.
My girlfriend made me that. It's a chef's hat with the Chef Boyardee logo, just with my whatever that thing. Let me see if I can find it. That little dude up in the corner, that's on the hat, in the hat with the Chef Boyardee thingy, just my face on it. And it says Chef Boyardee. Her friend owns a screening business. Mm-hmm. So she made a screen where she put my full name and not just Boyardee.
Nice.
What a great fucking gift, man.
That's really awesome. I love those kinds of inventive gifts.
Oh my God. She made me a Yang Gang blanket.
Oh, cool.
She gets me.
I was very against the term Yang Gang for a long time. I was an early Yang fan, November 2018. It wasn't until the summer of 2019 that I finally gave up resisting the Yang Gang term.
We're gangsters.
I felt like it was going to do him a disservice to have that as his name, the fan's name.
Yeah.
And I think it did, but.
Nope. I think it's a great branding and it's easy to remember.
It turned a lot of people off.
Well, if you get turned off by that, then what the hell are you doing? Like what power?
When you're running for president, you can't really afford to piss off people who are.
Well, yeah. Here's the thing. He didn't have a real good shot to win anyway. No. So he's going to make Yang Gang cool, and he already has.
Like we made Yang Gang cool.
That's right. But I'm telling you, we've had so much fun. Oh wait, Chase, didn't I see you cooking gumbo back then? No, I've done what I do. I did shit, I don't even remember, man. I did the brownies once. I did no-bake cookies for Yang's birthday. I made a no-bake cookie in the shape of the Y for the Yang Gang, the logo for the Yang 2020. I bought some red licorice, the peeling kind, because it's the brownie, then there's like the red division in it. I did that just for shits and giggles.
That's cool.
Yeah, I've done quite a few things. It's a lot of fun back then. I ain't done those in a long time, though. I want to figure out how to make this 4K camera setup to do live streaming from here, but I can't quite figure that out yet. I'm not that tech savvy as I need to be, apparently. Yeah, I spent good money on that son of a bitch, and then he dropped out. I was like, damn. I got that in January, and he dropped out February 11th.
When I was seeing all of you guys like going out and streaming stuff, my brain was imagining you guys as having the Ustream packs from during Occupy.
That's what this is going to do. That's why I bought this.
But my brain was picturing that was still something that was out on the market, that you could buy a pack and stream from wherever. That was an unknown concept back when Occupy first happened.
That's what Ted Stream does. He had that pack, and I'm going to buy that's $1,000.
Oh yeah, no, the Ustream was actually giving them to people, just free.
Oh, wow. Well, it worked. But yeah, my goal is if anything comes up big like that again, I'm gonna rent one once and just see if I like the setup and then buy it. but I had
just as long as you don't like do crazy things with streaming. Like, I seriously wanted to like grab Matt by the ear and just drag him away from the Capitol during the BLM stuff.
Yeah.
There was one night where he was streaming and he dropped his phone 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
And all of us on the stream were just sitting there like, oh my God. God, is he dead?
When they're bum rushing him, shot him with the rubber bullets and gassed him.
That was terrifying. That was literally terrifying.
If I could have been there, I would have been there, though. That's my kind of shit. Now, I wouldn't have told a girl to shut up, you stupid bitch. That got him in quite a bit of trouble. But he's young, man.
I didn't realize how young he was until that happened and his age came out.
Yeah,
I'm like,
21, man.
What?
21, doing shit, man. And he owns his own business.
Yeah.
So
I mean, at his age, I was on my second business. So
at his age, I was in the military getting drunk every time I got a chance. I was deployed overseas. We go party, man. That's it.
I spent 6 years in college. I went in for video game art, graduated with game design with a focus in being a producer, project manager. But I lived off campus from year 2 on because they wanted to stick us like way off campus in the next town over because they didn't have enough housing for the sophomores. So they basically like shoved us into the next town and we're going to bus us in. I was like, nah, that's not happening. So 9 of us got our own house and we called it Roxor's Hall. I still have the sign that we had outside that we had like carved in wood with a dragon on it. It's amazing. So we had some interesting times in that building, but none of it was related to drinking. It was all, we were geeks and gamers and I was playing Final Fantasy 11 with everyone in the house, and like all of a sudden you would just hear like half the house go, "Damn it, Yenni!" because I died again. Oh. I am so like I went to school for video game development. I was in the video game industry for 3 years. I am really bad at monitoring my health in a real-time game. Like it just doesn't happen. Like all of a sudden the bar will be gone and I'm dead and I'm like, what just happened? You've been taking hits for like 10 minutes. Oh.
We'll see you next week, Ching.
See ya.
I can't wait. That's gonna be an awesome one too. I love Ching. She's in New York City. I get to meet her. I'm going to New York City.
We met up in New Hampshire. It was fun.
For New Year's?
No. I was in the Manchester office. She came into campus.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's right. That's in her doc.
Mm-hmm.
Her Google Doc. Yeah. I am so looking forward to seeing people again, man. I got addicted to that shit. Like I said,
I miss humans.
240 or 240 or 260 PTO spent in like a 16-month period where I took a week off at least once a month and went to an event. Like I went to Iowa 7 times. I was a precinct captain in Clinton. I went to Detroit debates, Ohio debates, Chicago rally, Chicago fundraiser, income movement march, and then LA, and then back to Iowa for the election, and then back home to Pout. I was live streaming with Kai and Paget and some other people. We're all live streaming our own channels. We all came to each other's channels and then that's when he dropped out.
Yeah, I actually have an interesting that night. Me, Christine, and Catherine, who were the regional organizers for New England, were there, and Zach invited us to stand on the stage behind Yang for when he would come out and talk.
Yeah.
And I am very, very glad that my body was not going to handle standing up there and said no. So the 2 of them stayed off stage, because had we been behind him for that announcement, it would have been a problem. Like, you do not put your super volunteers behind you when you're about to announce that you're dropping out without telling them you're dropping out.
Yeah, that'd have been bad.
Like, that would have been so not okay. As it was, the people who got up there and stood up behind him were actually students from the town next door to where I grew up that had come up to canvass. as part of a civics program that they do. They had students come up and volunteer on a whole bunch of different campaigns, and this group volunteered on Yanks. I thought that was pretty cool.
It didn't hurt them like the rest of us. Yeah. Man. Yeah, dude, I was just like, ever since then,
it was my life. I was spending like 60, 80 hours some weeks on it. I mean, that weekend leading up to the election day, we handled the we got over 100 volunteers to come in within 24 hours notice, because we noticed that canvassing shifts were not being covered anywhere near enough. We wanted to get a delegate. Like, that was our goal, was to get a delegate.
Yeah, for sure.
And because that would have kept him in, kind of thing. But we got 100 plus volunteers coming in from everywhere. We managed them finding housing. We managed making sure that people had rides, where they were going to canvass, managing back and forth between all of the different offices. And I'm doing this from the Manchester office. And the guy who's running the Manchester office, Brandon, like half of the people in the staff, in the New Hampshire staff, were either Brandon or Matt. Like, all the guys, they were Brandon or Matt. It was very weird. But he has 4 campaign wins under his belt, which reportedly is more than HQ had in total. But he was looking at me handling all of this, managing all the spreadsheets, running around on the phone, doing all of these things, while also still checking people in for their canvassing shifts and phone banking shifts. And he's looking at me and he's like, how are you doing this? Mm-hmm. Like, you are being more effective than we've been for weeks. I'm just like, but we're just volunteers just doing it. Like, we're just organizing.
Yeah, we had that similar experience in Iowa when I came out there for Yang Week. I showed up in Des Moines and walked in the office. Like, hey, you're the skeptic guy. I'm like, yeah, Boyce. Oh, I always wondered what your name was. I'm like, really? I don't ever say my name, like there's like, no, you never say your name. I was like, oh, so that's why I keep Boyce the skeptic up here. At least people know who
you did say it.
I thought so. My name's Boyce. I mean, shit. But yeah, there's like, hey, that's cool. You come. Thanks for coming. Blah blah blah. And I was actually doing some recording while I was there too, and I'm here to knock on some doors, man. And they're like, oh, okay, well, let's talk to so and so. Let's talk to so and so. It took like 30, 45 minutes. I'm like, I could have been knocked on doors by now. Mm-hmm. And then this kid from
one of the offices didn't have clipboards and wasn't printing out walk maps in the middle of nowhere in Vermont, in New Hampshire. Ew. Where there's no signal. You need maps.
Oh boy.
Yeah. There were people that were getting stuck in people's driveways because they didn't have 4-wheel drive. Like, It's winter in New Hampshire. You need to cull these lists appropriately for places you could actually drive to. There was a lot that I learned how not to do things.
Here's my thing.
But at the same time, there was plenty they were doing right. It just wasn't quite enough fast enough. The amount of money that they got came too late to really make a difference. And Bloomberg completely screwed them.
Yeah.
Because Bloomberg charged paying so much for staff.
Yep.
Lower level presidential candidates and down ballot candidates all across the country were having a major issue getting qualified staff.
He bought them all.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
There were people leaving the Yang campaign, going over to doing things for Bloomberg because he was paying 3 times as much.
Or paying it all.
Yeah.
I knew some people that worked out there in Iowa were really let down. And they're like, I'm not even getting my gas covered. I'm driving 200 miles a day. Mm-hmm. And I was like, dude, I get it, man. This is a bootstrapped campaign. Mm-hmm. Nobody's forcing you. And he's like, really? That's what I was like, that's what I'm saying. You don't have to do it, man. I'm here on my dime because I want to be here. Mm-hmm. I was like, if you got into this to get rich or make money, you're in the wrong business, man. Only people at the top make money. Yeah. And I was like, campaign managers don't make a lot of money, And they're the one with the most responsibility. You think somebody out here running an office is going to get paid? Man, hell no. Let's be realistic. Have realistic expectations. You're not going to make $40 an hour out here. You're going to make $10 an hour, and you're going to live off ramen noodles in some shitty little spot, and you're going to get stuck out in the middle of nowhere. They're going to hope you make magic happen in one of these
and places. Have the time of your life while doing it.
Mm-hmm. But he was.
I would not trade the experience for anything.
I loved it. Like I said, I volunteered for.
I went through withdrawal in February. It was bad, and then we had the Yang Gang celebration that Inca Movement led at the end of February, and then Peter called all the YGROs together to do a call.
Peter Chung?
So, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what kickstarted like HFM becoming a thing. It wasn't called HFM at the time. We didn't get our name until April. But and then Yang announced that he was doing Humanity Forward. So we kind of were waiting on Humanity Forward to do things and waiting on them and waiting on them. And that only just ended last month.
Yeah.
The changes that happened when Yang was about to announce and all of that, the changes over that happened at HF, they changed their angle on things. They're not doing chapters. They're not going to be endorsing candidates, which that bugged me a lot. But that was only because I, was told that I'd probably get an endorsement, and now that's not happening. But and I don't even know if Yang's going to be doing municipal level endorsements. I know he's endorsed Wendy and Erica, but But I would love to have his endorsement. That would be fantastic. Would be awesome. But give me like actual the Yang Gang might actually pay attention to me. Like Erica's getting all of these donations going trending multiple times, and I'm just like, please help.
Yeah, that's the thing too with the platform. She's running for a national office.
Yeah,
that gives her
it's a lot bigger.
More.
Same with Wendy.
Reach. Yeah, that's. I'm gonna run state level. I have no desire for city stuff here. It's just so small. It's like a block.
If I was in a smaller place, if I was outside of Worcester or Boston, I would probably go to state level.
Yeah. You'll make a difference.
But right now, there's so much that the city or town level does to manage the day-to-day life that you interact with, that it honestly affects things a little bit more than the state and federal level in some ways. It sets your property taxes. It sets which streets and roads are getting fixed. They set which projects are coming in and
infrastructure, period.
It's that is literal day-to-day life. It is dealing with who gets hired for your superintendent of schools. It's it is that daily on the ground work that affects people's lives the most, that most people are just like, oh, it's city council, I don't need to vote for that. It's local, whatever. But that's why my district had a 23% turnout in 2019.
So you need 3,500, you said, huh?
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm expecting this year's turnout to be higher. I'm setting my win number higher accordingly because of that.
Gotcha.
So if it were historic levels of voters, it would be for 3,500. My goal right now is in the 375 area. I have exact numbers, but
yeah. Well, yeah, I hope we can get some.
But it just doesn't. It kind of doesn't make any sense to me why people are not introduced to it in schools. In terms of government classes, that doesn't happen
because it's not on the SAT.
Yeah, we need to stop teaching to the tests. It just needs to go away.
SAT,
so bad.
There's 5 questions about government and 1,000 about English terms and math.
Well, they're taking away the writing portion. That was an experiment but that whole writing portion was added the year I was taking the SATs. So we had no idea how they were going to grade them at all. It was a really weird thing. So I took the ACT as well, which people don't even know of in New England. Like the ACT is just not a thing here.
That's all I took. I didn't take the SAT. I took the ACT.
Yeah.
3 times.
I took it once and got high enough that I was just like, I'm good. Yeah. It wasn't great, but it was good enough to get into the colleges that I was looking at. So
yeah. Well, yeah, I can't wait to see what happens. We got a long summer to get you where you got to go. Guys, again, go to the donation links in the description below. Donate, volunteer. You can do one or the other.
Yep.
Don't do nothing.
Also on my website, if you scroll down a little bit, there's a calendar of events. It's got my future appearances. I'm going to be on the Yang Gang Roundtable podcast. I'm going to be on Cheng's show. I'm going to be on McCoy.
Yep.
I'm hopefully going to be on others, and then I'm also going to be doing local stuff. Obviously, I'm almost kind of like trying to put my Yang stuff now to get it out of the way a little bit. But I also know, like, you guys, I know you guys the best, and you guys know me the best, and like we have similar thoughts about things. So it makes sense for me to try and pull volunteers from people that I know where they're coming from on things. It's
a resource.
Super.
It's silly not to.
Yeah.
Well, all right, Yenni.
Oh, and I have a fundraising event coming up.
Okay.
I am doing a tea brewing and mindfulness class. It is being led by Gia Lee of Tea Tell Truth. She's local. She's from Yunnan, China. And that is happening on not this Saturday, but the following Saturday. And if you sign up by this Saturday, you will be getting a tea sample in the mail to brew while we're on the call.
That's cool.
And then I have a pet care one, doing pet first aid and CPR. It was supposed to be tomorrow night. It's been postponed, unfortunately, but we'll have a new date for that soon. That'll also be up on the website. Yeah.
Outstanding.
And Facebook. I have all of my like events on Facebook.
Yep. And follow her on Twitter, of course, at Yenni.
And if you care about the emoji thing, my emoji is paw prints.
Fair enough. All right, guys. Thanks for joining us. Another fun 2.5 hour stream. We love them here. We go all night, baby.
Oh, I'd hang out even longer if you wanted me to, but
no, I gotta go.
Yeah.
Okay, take care of. All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out, man.
Thank you for watching and sticking it out, folks.
You got it.